So I'm Dr. Jason Bradley, and this is Guerrilla Health Radio. On Wednesday, February 3rd, I am blessed to be here today with Alicia Diehl, the Wellness Babe, a consultant with Primally Pure and Beautycounter. She can be reached on Instagram at the.wellnessbabe. That's on Instagram at the.wellnessbabe. She's offering 20% off to all new clients, as well as a special gift to all of our listeners. So make sure that when you contact her, and please do contact her and follow her on Instagram, that you mention that you heard of her on Guerrilla Health Radio. Alicia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here. This is my very first podcast, so I am pumped.
I am pumped to have you here too. And this is my very first new format, as I mentioned. We're going to try a shorter show today, but I mean, you and I have been chatting already for longer than the show was scheduled to go. So I'm excited to see how this goes today. Alicia, you have an amazing story, an amazing journey, and an amazing reason, a big why of your passion of why you do what you do. Please share that with our listeners. Tell us why you do what you do.
I really do have a big why. As someone who is an advocate for health, I know how important it is what we put on our skin. Oftentimes when we think about good health, we think about what we're eating, how we're moving, managing stress levels, sleep quality, and we're not always thinking about what we put on our skin, but it is just as important. Our skin is our largest organ, and everything we put on our skin gets absorbed into our bloodstream, and it affects us at a cellular level. So you really, really want to be thinking about what you're putting on your skin. You don't want to be eating right, exercising, meditating, and then putting McDonald's on your skin.
I like that idea. I don't like the idea, but when I heard you say McDonald's on the skin, I mean, it's one of those things where I think, listen, I'm not picking on any company, but I will say that at one point I was labeled an expert in McDonald's because I blogged about how awful the food is there. And I just don't understand why it still exists as a company. That's my opinion. People go out of their way to avoid fast food. And then, like you said, then they'll rub the equivalent of McDonald's on their skin. How did you come across this?
Well, when I was on my own health journey, I was doing what I thought I should be doing. I had run into some health issues. And so, I completely cleaned up my diet. I was exercising. I was meditating. I was doing all the biohacking that I was doing at the time. And, I was still running into some health issues. So I saw my functional medicine doctor and we ran some tests. We thought heavy metals might be an issue. And so we took a hair sample and we did the test by Great Plains Laboratory. Are they still doing that test, by the way?
They're still a lab. And I mean, we use them for some mold toxicity. I assume that they are. We at our clinic, we use a different company, but I mean, I like Great Plains. They do a great job with the lab.
Well, this was years ago, yeah. And we did a hair sample and, we thought maybe I might be having an issue with heavy metals. Well, I actually came back fine. But what we found was parabens in my system. We found that I was obviously using something that was, I had parabens in my body. And, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just for our listeners, do you want to talk about what parabens are and why we would not want to find them in our bodies?
That's probably going to be your expertise. I know that they're bad news. You don't want them. What a paraben is specifically, I don't know. I just know. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that, if you'll leave it up to me, then I would say that they are, neuroendocrine disruptors. I mean, okay. I think that's a good way to say it. I mean, they're toxins that we don't want in our bodies.
Yes.
But how did these parabens wind? So here you are, you're running some tests. You're trying to figure out, I feel like I'm doing everything. I'm trying to eat the right way. I'm meditating. I'm exercising. I'm biohacking, and I still don't feel the way that I feel that I should feel. You run some tests. You find parabens, in your system. Alicia, how did those parabens get in your system?
Well, believe it or not, even though I had cleaned up my act, so to speak, I was still using department store makeup. Okay. department store. And I point out department store because I was using a lot of MAC products, maybe some Estee Lauder. These are not inexpensive brands. Okay. These are expensive items, you know, so it was really difficult because I looked at what, you know, might be causing parabens. I was sent home with a list that day, and you know, your makeup is what came up, and I thought, well, that's got to be it. It's got to be the makeup that I'm using, because I've completely cleaned up my diet. I'm doing everything else right, but I was still using department store makeup, and that turned out to be the cause of those parabens that were in my body. And so I started. That was what caused me to really dig deeper into what I was putting on my skin. And the more I did research, the more I found out I was putting a lot of toxic stuff on my body. Yeah. Unfortunately, the large majority of what's out there in terms of personal care products is highly toxic. And ingredients like, yes, we mentioned parabens, arsenic, formaldehyde, microplastics, lead. The lead that is not allowed to be on your wall paint is still found in your lipstick.
Right.
And you ingest lipstick. Most women don't realize this, but you're putting this stuff on your lips, you're ingesting it. And I think the latest statistic I read was something like 60% of a lot of those. I mean, because it's the colorants, right? It's what makes your lips red. They contain lead. And as you know, these are endocrine disruptors, these toxic ingredients, you know, they can cause anything from infertility, and some of them are carcinogenic.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
Well, I was going to say that when we look at even, you know, the fertility issue, I mean, we see fertility declining, you know, I mean, all around the world, but we see at the same time utilization of these types of beauty products going up all around the world. I mean, there's so many pop-up companies these days that are just cranking out, you know, who knows what. But here's my question. I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Don't we have here in the United States, aren't we protected by the FDA, right? I mean, the FDA would, the Food and Drug Administration, I mean, surely they're not going to let us put these toxic chemicals into beauty products. Walk me through that.
Okay. Well, here's the reason why the majority of personal care products contain toxic ingredients. This industry, and let me point this out, it is a $200 billion industry. It's massive. We're not talking about something itty bitty. It is a $200 billion industry, and it is highly underregulated. In fact, the US has not passed a federal law regarding personal care products since 1938. Okay, so it has been over 80 years since we have passed a safety law regarding personal care products. In the UN, on the other hand, they have spent the last decade banning 1,400 ingredients. In the US, to date, we have only banned 11.
And when we talk about these, let me say that again. These ingredients, boy, I almost said products. These ingredients that are banned. Tell me the difference, you know, between some of the companies that you would, and we'll get to this here in a minute, too, the companies that you might recommend, but some of the companies that you would say are safer than others. What ingredients are they absolutely never going to put in their products?
Ooh, the ingredient list is long. I was going to say, so like I said, the US has spent the last decade banning over 1,400 questionable ingredients. Something that I love about Beautycounter, which is one of the companies I'm a consultant with, is when we first started the business back in 2013, we're sort of a baby company. We set out to meet what the UN was doing. We've since surpassed that, and we have something called our never list, and it's 1,800 questionable ingredients you will never find in our personal care products. And this list, I mean, I could go into it, but they're words like oxybenzone and they're kind of difficult to pronounce. I can get into it if you want, but
no. I think
okay.
I think the important piece here is that, you know, a company like Beautycounter has on their own self-regulated and decided that they're going to not only, put on their never list the 1,400 that the EU and the UN have banned in products over in Europe. They've actually surpassed that to over 1,800 different ingredients. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep, that's right.
Amazing. That's amazing. And then you said something to me earlier that I want to just, before we get too much further, you said that, here you were, trying to eat the right way and move and do the stress reduction and biohacking and meditating and all this stuff to get yourself, healthy. And you're using, over the counter beauty products that were not cheap at all. I mean, here you are spending a small fortune on trying to have healthy skin. I mean, let's be honest about why we do this and spend that money. You told me a staggering statistic, and I'll let you share it, but I was floored with how many different chemicals, how many different products often, especially women, put on their skin before breakfast. Tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. So when I talk about all these toxic ingredients, and I mention this, most people will say like, oh, I don't put that much on my skin. I'm fine. But yes, they say that women in particular, we put over 80 chemicals on our body just before breakfast. So if you think about it, what are you putting on in your shower? You're washing your hair, your shampoos, your soaps, your body wash. You get out, you put on some lotion. You probably, use skincare and then makeup. What are you brushing your teeth with? What about your hand soaps? Yes, all of these products add up. And when I was cleaning out my cabinet, so to speak, myself, I mean, I was just picking out random things like I was looking at the back of my hairspray and thinking, holy moly, like that ingredient list is like, there's like over 30 things in here, half of which I can't pronounce. And I was, so boastful about the fact that like, I always like to read the ingredient lists on my food. And I like to make sure that what I purchase at the store only has, a limited amount of ingredients in it. But my beauty products were so toxic.
It's amazing how toxic those chemicals are. I'm actually in the middle of finishing up a book about our plan called the Epic 5 plan, which we've used to help folks from all over the world, reclaim their health and their wellness and their happiness. And we're in one of the chapters, we talk about detoxification. And I think it's interesting that you and I are on such a parallel here where there's so much emphasis on eat real foods and eat organic and hydrate and, all of these things that we do to detoxify our bodies. And yet at the same time, there's not a lot of lip service given to the household products and, like even the cleaners around the house, but and again, especially beauty products. It's kind of an afterthought for a lot of detoxification. And I think it's important that you're chatting about it. So here's a question. This seems, in my opinion, my professional opinion, dangerous to the consumer. I'm going to say that word. This seems dangerous to the consumer. We know that these are neuroendocrine disruptors, causing neurological problems, causing, like you said, hormonal issues. How can the consumer know that they're using a product that is safe? And I'm gonna bring up the word greenwashing right now and let you chat about it because there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. So I'm gonna let you take over because you're the expert in this.
Okay. Well, just like how there's so much, greenwashing in the food industry, I mean, it's just as bad in the beauty industry. I mean, there are so many companies out there that will label their products as natural or organic, or, they put on this environmentally friendly looking packaging to like make you, it attracts the consumer to think, oh, this has got to be a safe product. It says it's natural and it's dermatologist approved. And, it's something I can put on my baby. But unfortunately, these are just labels we can't trust. We need to turn the bottle around and actually look at the ingredients. Oftentimes, they're ingredients that I even have trouble pronouncing. So there's two really good places that you can check to see where your products stand in terms of toxicity. My favorite is the Environmental Working Group, so the EWG. They have a really large database of just about every beauty skincare product on the market. You can type it in and they will give you, they will rate your product. Either it's EWG certified, which means it's squeaky clean and good for you. Which, by the way, both Primarily Pure and Beautycounter check out as EWG certified. And they rate it all the way up to 10. So if the mascara that you're using rates at an 8, it's something that I would highly recommend swapping out. You know, when you first start this journey of cleaning out your beauty cabinet or skincare routine, it can kind of be overwhelming to pitch it all and, you know, start from scratch. It can also be kind of pricey. So, you know, I would start with those items that rate at a higher toxicity level.
Well,
Like
I was
I
going to say
said,
that for EWG, that's just for our listeners, it's the Environmental Working Group. They can be reached at ewg.org. They are an independent agency that basically is a consumer protection agency. And they have their own criteria. You can read all about them online. But I was going to say that they're very, having worked with them with, you know, food for a very long time, you know, with the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15, and you know,
there's a dirty dozen of the beauty industry, by the way.
that's what I was going to say. There's a dirty dozen in the beauty industry, and then they're very, very careful about companies that I don't want to say that they endorse, but that they give the thumbs up to. They call that EWG verified, and Beautycounter is absolutely on that list. So I just wanted to let our listeners know that as far as EWG goes, they're a very trusted source in the world, but certainly in the personal healthcare realm, I suppose. It's a place that you can go to trust. That's ewg.org, Environmental Working Group, ewg.org.
Yeah, and I definitely encourage people to use that. There's also something called the Think Dirty app,
Yep.
which is something I have on my phone. One thing I did when I was making the swap to clean, they say, make the swap to clean. I remember going to Target one day and using the Think Dirty app, and I was just going around and then just checking stuff out. Things like Myers soap, which is in the green section. It's in the environmentally friendly section, checked out really high.
Yeah.
And that's because they contain something called fragrance. Fragrance is on that Dirty Dozen in the beauty industry. And that's because fragrance can be any one of 3,000 ingredients. So beauty industries love putting the word fragrance on the back of their ingredient list, which they're not even required to have an ingredient list, but
it's kind of like natural flavors in the food industry, you know, where people think, oh, well, it's natural, and it's just a natural flavor. And, you know, or it's also kind of the greenwashing with the word organic, you know. I mean, I always remind people that glyphosate, if we remember Roundup, that we know now causes leukemias, and has the largest, you know, multi-$100 billion lawsuit settlement in the history of the world, is an organic product. It's an organophosphate, you know. So I mean, we got to remember that the word organic is loosey-goosey. The word natural is loosey-goosey. The word fragrance is loosey-goosey.
And fragrance sort of has this like fancy, you know, fancy way about it. Like, oh, fragrance, you know, it might be something attractive and nice, but it could be any one, like I said, any one of 3,000 different ingredients that they can hide in fragrance. So that's a big one. I mean, if you look at the back of your beauty product, and you might not be able to read everything, but if you see that word fragrance on there, that's something I would definitely encourage you to swap out too.
Something else that I would bring up too, while we're talking about not only ingredients, but is sustainability. Do you want to give some lip service to the idea of sustainability?
Yeah, so something I love about both of these companies that I'm a consultant with and I'm affiliated with, Beautycounter, for instance, we have something called our Blueprint for Clean, which is 12 different safety standards. one of which is sustainability. So we care a lot about, our impact on this planet. So everything from packaging to, where we source our raw materials, that's something I want to speak to too. The beauty industry has an ugly side to it that most of us don't know about. And maybe I'll mention 2 ingredients. One of them is called mica. Mica is that ingredient in makeup that sort of makes, think the shimmery on your eyeshadow, your bronzers, your highlighters, your blush, that ingredient that just kind of, not glitter, but that ingredient that just kind of gives you that
The
shine,
sheen. Mhm.
the sheen. It's called mica, and it has a very ugly story. Most mica that most beauty companies source is sourced by using child labor, because a lot of it comes from Southeast Asia, India. So when Beautycounter discovered this, they sought out to make their own mines. So we now have our own mine in India, and it's a cooperative. So we give back to the community. We make sure that we pay people a living wage and absolutely no child labor. So we care a lot about where we source our raw materials. Another one is vanilla, which we're very proud about. Last year, we started a women's owned cooperative in Madagascar. These are not things most beauty companies are thinking about. So our impact on the planet, our impact on people. Beautycounter is a B corporation, so we don't just think about profit. We think about planet and people as well.
I just want to say this because you brought up vanilla as an ingredient. That
Mhm.
most vanilla flavoring, or that smell is not vanilla, right?
You're right.
And do you know where most of it comes from?
The artificial stuff?
Or that's not vanilla. Yeah, I don't know if this is artificial or not, but it's artificial vanilla for sure. Do you know where we get that?
No.
Oh man, everybody fact check me on this. It's so fun. From the anal glands of beavers. Yep, you heard me right. It's a chemical called castoreum.
Oh, gross.
Oh, it's really gross. It's super gross, right? So, nonetheless, please, everybody fact check me on that. When I first heard about that, I did not believe it for the life of me. I had to fact check that. But yeah, castoreum from the anal glands of beavers. So, make sure that we're getting real vanilla, unless you're, into that, which is fine, I suppose.
Woo! No, I did not know that one. But yeah, sourcing. So everything from sourcing to packaging. Last month, for instance, we just launched a new deodorant line, which we are so excited about. It was
Saw
like
that.
5 years in the making. I'm sure you know that using natural deodorant, or I should say clean deodorant, is very important. And the packaging is very fun because, and I should have grabbed one. It's refillable. So when you're done with it, you don't actually need to replace the entire package. You just need to refill the deodorant portion. So, we think about little things
That's
like that.
great. That's a great idea. In fact, I've never heard of that idea before. I think that's what a great way to have a lower impact, a lower footprint on the earth. I
Right.
mean, that's
A lot of
fantastic.
our skincare comes in these nice glass bottles, and you can purchase what goes in it separately. So you don't have to repurchase the whole thing from scratch.
That's awesome. It probably keeps the cost for the refill down as well,
Yep.
right? Yep.
The cost of the refill is less.
It's a win for
So,
everybody. It's a win for the earth. It's a win for the consumer. It's a win for the company. I mean, that's the way it should be. I love that. So
right.
I just have to tell you, you have great skin. I just want to say that. And I want to know what your secret is. Tell me about your routine. What are you doing for your skin?
Okay. Well, since becoming a consultant, I actually, and I'm not going to lie, I think I've always really been into skincare. I think when I first started my journey to holistic living, alternative health, that sort of thing, I kind of gave it up because, and this is something I want to point out. I gave it up, especially after I found out I had parabens in my body. I sort of gave all that stuff up because I remember this was like over 10 years ago now. My parents, who live in a bigger city, they have a Whole Foods. I remember going to the Whole Foods, and I bought a bunch of makeup and I brought it home, and it sucked. Like seriously, the mascara like fell down my eyes within half an hour of wearing it. Like the blush was like, it didn't even show up on my face. And that's what I love about these companies that I'm affiliated with. Like you don't have to sacrifice performance for safety. And that's something new and upcoming, because I think at the very beginning of the clean beauty movement, a lot of the products just didn't perform. And what will
Yep.
happen, a lot of people will sometimes go back to the toxic stuff because they're like, well, hey, like I gotta look nice. Like, we gotta feel good about the skin we're in. And if you swap out a product and it's just not performing the same way, your department store makeup did, like sometimes people, even though they recognize the health impact, they also want to feel good.
Absolutely.
So with these companies, you don't have to sacrifice performance for safety. So I will say that. What do I do? Well, I have a full skincare regimen. I use the anti-aging line by Beautycounter, which is called Counter Time. I am in my 30s, and you might say, well, why am I using an anti-aging line? They don't really recommend the anti-aging line until you're like 45 or older. But I think I mentioned to you, I'm a biohacker. I'm really into anti-aging, and it's not that I don't want to age gracefully, or it's not that I think aging is bad. I want to age gracefully, and I want to have that youthful, plump skin for as long as I can. So I use the anti-aging line by Beautycounter, and maybe I don't think I'll give you a breakdown of each product, because that might take a while. But
It's 80 products. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I use the full skincare regimen. I will say a couple of my favorite products. Yeah. Why don't I do a couple of my favorite?
Let's do that. That's perfect.
Okay, that's better, because otherwise we could go on forever. I love our facial cleansers. This one, which is the anti-aging line. This one, which is the nourishing, hydrating line. I love them because they do not strip your face of its natural moisture barrier. A lot of the face washes that you pick up either at the drugstore or, like I said, even department store stuff, it'll strip your face of its natural moisture barrier. You don't want to do that. You want something that's going to remove impurities, but you don't want to strip your natural moisture barrier, because that's going to leave your skin feeling dry, and you don't want that. Even if you tend to have like combo skin, you don't want to strip your face of that natural moisture barrier. So moisturizing and hydrating is really important. And I love our facial cleansers because they don't do that.
And just because, some of this will be on audio and not just on video, if folks want to get a hold of you and ask those types of questions, they can reach you again on Instagram at the.wellnessbabe.
Yeah. And something I offer to all of my new clients is a 30-minute skincare consultation. Oh, cool. So we talk about what your skincare needs are. You tell me, what kind of skin you have, what kind of issues you might be battling, what you want to fix, some people, they want to start slow. Some people want the full skincare regimen. So I'm happy to walk through that with people. So I do offer a 30-minute skincare consultation.
And I would recommend that all of our listeners, in fact, I'm going to recommend this to all of my private clients, that they take advantage of this and get a hold of you on Instagram at the.wellnessbabe and chat with you for a 30-minute consultation. Yeah.
Another thing I like to do during the consultation is I will help, I actually tell people, I'm like, okay, you grab the 5 items that you're using the most of, like combination of makeup, skincare, shampoo, whatever it may be. And I help people walk through the EWG website, and I say, okay, let's swap out these 3 products first, because they're the ones that are most toxic, right. And then we'll work our way through the other things.
That makes a lot of sense. I think I'm gonna take advantage of this. I use a what would it be called? A vitamin A type of cream. Okay. But I looked at the ingredients, here I am, it's like all natural vitamin A cream, and I love it. I really do. I like the effect that I get. I think it's helped my skin out. But when I looked at the ingredients before our show today, I was like, I better talk to Alicia about this, because it's got some ingredients on there that I think might not
Yeah,
mustard
let's take a
seed.
look at those ingredients. I don't like to get too nerdy when I get interviews like this because, I mean, the ingredient names are kind of funky. Like I said,
Right,
oxybenzo,
right,
sensobenzo.
right.
Um, Let me get back into some of my favorite products, unless you had
Sure.
another question.
No, I actually, you know what I was going to say? I love that we're doing products, but I was going to say we're almost out of time. So
Okay.
how about we hit one or two more products, and then we'll leave our listeners with one piece of advice.
Okay, that sounds great.
Perfect.
Okay, this next product is one that anyone can use. I mean, if you're somebody that already has a skincare regimen and you want to try something different, this next product is our All Right C Serum. Um, Everybody can use vitamin C. I mean, you may know this already, but vitamin C is a potent antioxidant
Yeah,
for
it
your
is.
skin. I take it orally as well, not just because it helps boost my immune system, but because I know it has great benefits on my skin. And I use this All Right C Serum every day. And this is something anybody could use, whether you're into anti-aging. I mean, if you want a little bit of a glow up, this is the product for you. And it's men, women, I mean, all ages. This All Right C Serum, it's our best selling product, and it's our best selling product for a reason.
Awesome.
And then the next two, I'll just kind of bundle together. I really like our foundation options because they are makeup and skincare bundled into one. So this Dew Skin Tinted Moisturizer is a moisturizer as well as it provides a light coverage. And then our medium to heavier coverage foundation contains hyaluronic acid in it, which helps plump the skin. So both of these items, like whether you're wearing the tinted moisturizer or the Skin Twin foundation, they will improve your skin as you wear them. This will help plump your skin and help fight fines and wrinkles as you're actually
That's
wearing your
cool.
makeup. So
That's super cool.
that's so awesome.
Because a lot of makeup is so damaging to the skin,
Right.
and yeah, I mean, how cool is that to be treating your skin at the same time as getting the benefits, of the makeup? I love that. So if you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would it be?
Oh my goodness. One piece of advice. I may need your help on this one, but I mean, I think I really want people to think about what they're putting on their skin.
Yeah.
And we have to when we live in an age now, like I think especially this last year, it's taught us that like health is so important. And optimal health means actually picking up every aspect of what health is. Like we've already talked about it: eating well, sleeping well, exercising, and putting what you put on your skin is one of those components. So
I think that's really good advice, and I think that the word that I would give us there is to be mindful.
there we go.
I think mindfulness. We talk about it a lot with our coaches and then with our clients, just to be mindful of health, and then also, really, I think this year has really taught us that, at least for a lot of people, health or the concept of health is something that we've really taken for granted.
Mhm.
And it's not something that happens insidiously. It's something that we have to work toward. Unfortunately, I mean, we live in a toxic world, and it's so easy to live a toxic life because of that. And it takes a conscious effort to, remove that toxicity from our lives and to make these types of choices. So I really appreciate everything that you shared with us today. I had a lot of fun. Thank you. I learned a lot, actually.
Oh,
So
great.
I really appreciate that. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows how to get a hold of you again. Again, Alicia Diehl on Instagram, the.wellnessbabe. She's offering 20% off all of her new clients. She's also doing a 30-minute consultation for skin. She has a special gift for all of our listeners. So make sure that you mention that you heard about her on Guerrilla Health Radio. I, of course, am Dr. Jason Bradley, your host. We'll be back next week with Mike Finlayson, the guru banker. He's going to share his wisdom on investing in alignment with your values, which I'm totally excited about, especially because nobody ever taught me anything about investing. Alicia, thank you again for coming on today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
I had a great time. And everybody, until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And I love you all, and we'll see you soon. And